22 years back, the institute's vision was so high that might be 22 years later, the technology is going to take over and we should not be left behind. This is where we have actually moved towards over a period of time. People have gained the certificate that is knowledge, but now the wisdom to apply that knowledge is on the corners, and I 100%, I'm pretty confident that every chartered accountant is actually going to take this step forward and ensure that not only IT means income tax, IT means information technology, which is actually supporting the entire ecosystem of tax, governance, audit, accounting, and everything when you talk about with regards to the numbers across the board. And we are going to be relevant all throughout.
When AI is there, I was very much worried, and I was also very happy that such a big conference, what to speak and what not to speak. And I was thinking on this dais that whether my avatar can help me out in this situation. And friends, this is the testimony, this is the future. Whatever you are doing in your life, in your practice, in your job, all will be hit by AI. And for the 2 days, you have to note down what you are doing and what AI can do for you. With these words, thanks to all of you and happy learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. As we already have our speakers on stage, I would like to invite C. Rama Rao Karumanchi, member of the Hyderabad branch of SIRC of ICAI, to kindly welcome both our speakers. Can we have a great round of applause, please? We have Ms. Pooja Jain, Productivity Specialist, and she's going to tell us all about the AI best practices. And now, I request sir to kindly welcome our next speaker, Ms. Anita Sivasubramaniam, Head of the Data Science and AI at Infodesk. And with that, I would be handing over this session to our first speaker, Ms. Pooja Jain.
Thank you so much. How does it, excuse me? What is this one? Okay, I think I can use my laptop, that's fine. I'd like to start with a personal note. So I used to live in outside India for I'm an NRI for 18 years, and I returned back to India last year. I have been to many technology conferences and spoke a lot about more of Gen AI and a lot of like the technology concepts. But when the committee approached me for a speaking opportunity at this conference, I was just thinking, like, what am I going to speak about? So I was just doing a lot of research on who is ICAI, what they do, and there was a great YouTube playlist by AI in ICAI committee. So I watched every single video of them, and then I was like, oh my God, they are doing an awesome job. They already know what is Gen AI. They already launched a lot of GPTs. What is the additional thing that I'm going to bring? Then I prepared my slides. I came here yesterday, and then what happened was the inaugural ceremony literally moved my heart, especially the talk by Daya sir and Umesh sir. I felt like, like I'm getting 20 minutes. How am I going to do the justice with the 20 minutes I have in my hand? Especially the way Umesh sir ended his talk. He said, like, the next 2 days is for your learning. Please learn something and start applying it immediately after you go back. So with that in my mind, I was just sitting right there. My internet was not working. I completely changed what I was planning to present here. I just texted my team the regular text message because I was not able to WhatsApp or send a Teams message. I asked them to, gave them a problem, told them, like, use this AI tools and techniques, create something that I could demonstrate in this conference. So they literally got back to me within 2 hours. Overnight, the slides were changed, and I have a brand new content here. So I would like to start with which already AI and ICAI committee knows. But what I felt was there are like 5-element growth strategy that will take the AI for the CA professionals to the next stage. So the focus should be more on the next immediate best action that the CA professionals that could take along with by using and adopting AI. And in one of the ICAI videos, I saw someone mentioned about the purple person. I think it's Dayasar. It was more of, like you have this technology person who is like a blue one, and then the business people who are like the red one. And when you combine them together, you become as a purple person. That's when you can accomplish a lot. Like you can bring in your CA knowledge and bring in the technology knowledge. And everyone here understands that AI is not here to replace CAs, and definitely AI is going to be your assistant, and your knowledge is your asset. So with this, these are the things, the takeaways from yesterday's session I took, and with this in my mind, I created like 3, I would call it as case study, probably like which you could take it immediately from tomorrow. Sorry, I'm running out of the breath because I have some nasal congestion. Okay, so the thing is, yeah, the immediate next best action for AI and ICAI is we launched GPT for around 30,000 plus CAs, and there was another student GPT that was launched for more than 9 lakh people yesterday. So imagine what is going to happen. Even if every student interacts with the system one time, they're going to send like 1 prompt. So you're going to get like 9 lakh prompts. You're going to have a swarm of prompts. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to understand and classify all the prompts. There are a lot of pre-trained models that will help you do that so that you'll be able to recognize the intent. Imagine the power of this. We are going to have like all the prompts, intent of all the CAs, all the students, and then also, we have to be mindful of what kind of prompts are coming, what kind of questions students or CAs are using. Are they following the ethics? Is there anything like which is not taking care of the responsible AI? And then you can build a community hub, prompt community hub. There are like a lot of tools that are available which will let you do that. And you can have like a prompt database which can be reused by other CAs or other students. And you could have like someone like the prompt and then like a discussion around it, and also a feedback loop which will let you to iterate over the whatever feedbacks you get. So that was my first thing that I thought like, since we launched the GPT, this will be the next immediate thing that ICAI should immediately consider. And even if you cannot do it in a large scale, whoever is using it in their organization, they can start building it in a small scale so that at least like, the prompts or the questions can be reused by people among the organization. Excuse me. Okay, the next thing I was, again, this is another thing I got from the hackathons as well as from yesterday's speech. There's like a lot of unstructured documents that a CA has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Here you see the Tesla annual report. Like you can see, it's like a 57 pages of PDF document. And I don't understand much of it, but I'm sure you all understand. So it has information about who are the board of directors, what their qualifications are, their executive officers. Elon Musk's name is listed there. And what kind of compensation distribution and salary details. And like bunch of other things. And you can literally see here, like there are a lot of text, there are a lot of table charts and lot of numbers in terms of dollar. And again, it's like 57 pages. Even if you think that someone has to read it, understand it, and then apply, and then take it to their workflow, it's going to take like, minimum 1 hour, even if they spend 1 minute on each page. So this is something my team created just in like 1 or 2 hours. I just wanted to emphasize that it's so easy. If you know what technology or technique you need to apply, it's so easy to and quick to create something that will be very useful and you can start using immediately. So we used GPT-4, and what we did was we created a function schema. Here we use something called OpenAI function calling. There are also other packages that are available like Llama parts, which lets you extract the unstructured information and put it in a structured format so that you could take it to your downstream applications, so that you could do all kinds of financial analysis on this. So here, where exactly CA's expertise comes in is, which Pooja Jain will be talking in a bit. So you do see that there is like, the objective here is structure the financial statement, and then we are talking about current assets, and you have like, accounts receivable, prepaid expense, total current assets. So when we use GPT-4, it's a larger language model. It's going to consider everything as English. Okay, what is it going to like, how are? Then it's going to predict 99% of the time, the probability is like, you are going to say the word you. That is how it is going to operate. But by prompting, whatever you see in the description, right? Here you see basic things because that's all we understand about the finance. But if you really see here, what is total liabilities and equity, then expenses, depreciation and amortization. We just gave like 3 or 4 words, but if you could input a lot of information with your financial knowledge into this system, it's going to do even more better job in getting the output. So here what we really did was, we took the Tesla report, and then any CA, like they want these, whatever information they need, we converted it into a schema, and we added some prompt, and then we used GPT-4 Omni model, the foundation model, and then we set a role for our AI assistant. You are an assistant that is going to structure the financial report. And we wanted the output to be in a JSON format. JSON is something you can call it. You could think of it as a key value pair, where you say like expense $1,000, salary $40, something like you have a key and then a value. The reason is like, once you have it in JSON, you could import it to a CSV or Excel or whatever format, or you can import it into any kind of software that is being used in the finance professional. So this is the output. So that 57 pages of document, using this foundation model and little bit of prompt engineering and using the concept called function calling in OpenAI, we were literally able to extract all the numbers that will matter so much to the CAs. So this is the second thing I thought, which will come very handy immediately. You might have like problems like this. There will be like a lot of accountants wants to get information like this quickly. So it's doable within like a couple of hours. That is the main thing I wanted to emphasize here. AI is just a tool, but all the knowledge to make it work to your need is going to definitely come from the prompt engineering, which Pooja will talk in a little bit. And the next thing, this one I selected because if you want to move on to the next one, like if you want to take the AI for the chartered accountant professional to the next thing, what is your strength? Your strength is your knowledge, your experience, basically the domain knowledge. And someone spoke about explainability yesterday. So you should be able to trace back, like, okay, some question is asked, the answer is coming, but how do we explain that, okay, this answer is coming from here? Like, how do you get into that kind of detail? So in AI terminology, it's called knowledge graph. So what we did was, we took one of the journal from ICAI website. It was about central bank digital currency, and it mentioned about how India can use it, how it can help people of different socioeconomic status and contribute to the $1 trillion economy of India, all those things. So it was like some 6 pages document. So we tried to convert it as a knowledge graph. So you can imagine knowledge graph is nothing but you have a lot of circles and a line connects all those circles. So we call those circle as node and the line connecting it as an edge. So here if you could see, it identified that the document is talking about financial inclusion, it is talking about the central bank digital currency, it's talking about China, it's talking about India, it's talking about retail CBDC, RBI, and also you could see like whenever it identifies 2 nodes, what kind of relationship it has. Like if you see that like central bank digital currency is the abbreviation, CBDC is the abbreviation of central bank digital currency. So this is a little bit technical, but you will see like when it converts into a knowledge graph, you will see like what I'm really talking here. And then comes your expertise. So yes, we are creating a knowledge graph, but we have to feed what you really want to extract, what kind of knowledge you want to create. So here again, it's a prompt engineering. We said like, okay, you are a network graph maker, and then we used a concept called chain of thought. The first thought, you are saying that while traversing through each sentence, think about key financial terms like asset, liability, equity, revenue, expense, and a whole bunch of financial terms. And in the thought 2, we are asking the LLM to think about how they can associate these terms, what kind of relations that you are seeing in the document. Then thought 3 is like, find out the relation between the terms. And then we also did a few short prompting where we showed like, this is how a node will be, this is how another node will be, this is how it get connected. And the output of that is this one. This is just a knowledge graph that was created with just 6 pages of PDF document. Imagine the amount of data that is out there in the internet. When you combine your knowledge with the knowledge from internet, the kind of response you're going to get from when you ask some question or when you're looking for some details is going to be amazing. So here, if you could see that different colors, right? The blue color, yellow color is like more of, it's talking about central bank digital currency and monetary policy. And there is another theme that was identified more about financial services, sustainability and all that. And you also see the link between the financial services and the cyber and the CBDC and bunch of other things from that, this thing. Okay. Okay, so basically like it's a network. And now let's see like, okay, you have this thing. How is it going to be different from a ChatGPT or a Gemini, like the larger language model? You ask the same question, like you ask, what are the core functions of central bank digital currency? So you expect a response, right? Generally, LLM just goes and looks into the text and gets the data. But here, it literally goes, this is the technology behind it. We use something called cipher query. It goes and passes that information. It gets the answer as it's a medium of exchange. It's a unit of account. It's a store of value. It's a standard of deferred payments. This is the technical details behind the scene. And it converts into a natural language answer. You could see that what are the core functions. Then you see like the answer is, okay, let's move on to the next one. So this is about India, okay? This goes back to the explainable AI I was talking about. You can literally go to the place where, see, India has an economic development strategy. India has cybersecurity issues. When a question is answered, you can literally dive deeper into exactly where the answer is coming from. So if you want to trace it back, and you could, as you could see here, when you ask a question, you literally get the result, and like how do different entities interact within the CBDC ecosystem. The technical thing, it just returns like different entities like RBI, merchants, and intermediate. What is their interaction? Intermediaries must facilitate CBDC payments. merchants should adopt the CBDC payment system. So this is the response from AI, and it gets converted into a natural language output, and it says, in the CBDC ecosystem, intermediaries must facilitate CBDC payments, and merchants are to adopt the CBDC payment system. Okay, so with that, this case study ends. I'll take just one more minute. Okay, so this is a framework I use when I develop the AI strategy for my organization. So I'll quickly run through it. We should understand the fact that the data is streaming at a very faster pace, and everyone is looking for a real-time AI decisions. And we should understand the user intent is what fuels the AI innovation. And the statistics is the basic of AI, and responsible AI. And we should build adaptable AI focused on diverse use cases, prioritize and align choices, and don't let the technology drive you. And I'm sure with Drishti and Disrupt together, we are looking forward to the next UPI moment of AI in ICAI. And definitely, I have a strong feeling after these 2 days here that we are going to have a stress-free July 31st with the help of AI, probably next year. And any questions anyone has or any kind of help where I can offer any kind of assistance in AI, I'll be reachable on LinkedIn. And thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your session. And now, moving forward, we have Ms. Pooja Jain with her session. Can we give a great round of applause, please?
Clicker. Just need the clicker. Good afternoon again, everybody. Thank you for waiting. Technical glitches, generative AI is not perfect, and this was a clear demonstration of how far we have to go. So nothing to worry for CAs yet. Thanks for coming to my session. We will be talking about prompt design today. We have been talking since yesterday about sentiment analysis, ChatGPT, but it's so important to understand why we're doing this and understand the limitations of a model as well. My name is Pooja. You can take a picture if you would like to connect afterwards on LinkedIn as well. But before that, I want to take a time to thank you to the organizers and to all of us. You could have been doing a million things today, right now, but you choose to invest in your own personal journey and your growth. So kudos to you, and thank you for being here. My name is Pooja. Why you should listen to me? I am a master's graduate from University of California, Berkeley. I have authored a book on prompt design. I'm also an AI enthusiast, but professionally I work in sales and strategy at Google. And so we've been working on Gemini quite a bit much. So some of the things that I've learned from my prompt design journey, I would love to share with you all today. Let's make it interactive. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, very easy. So wrong answers encouraged. Please raise your hand, whatever comes to your mind first. Quick agenda, we'll discuss why prompt engineering, and in order to appreciate why, we need to look at a little bit in the history. I won't go into details, I'll keep it so we can understand. And so we'll look at LLMs, and then we'll look at some best practices, and most importantly, what not to do. Nobody talks about that, so appreciate your attention for the next 25, 30 minutes or so. Then we'll look at some examples and close with some follow-ups. So, did you know that an effective length for writing a prompt, and I've been using the word prompt is essentially any input you write into ChatGPT. For example, you ask a question, hey GPT, tell me about today, that's a prompt. Effectively, a good prompt should be 21 words. What have we found? People are actually entering way fewer words, 9 words. So it's something for you to consider. Next time you interact with a model, probably enter a few more extra words and see the output get better with time. It is no surprise, large language model was the most searched keyword on Google in the last 2 years. And you can see that the search in the Google search has increased only in the last 3 months. So it's important we talk about large language models. LLMs are thrown at our face as if it's a candy. We should all know. But it's so important to understand what goes inside large language model. Simplistically saying, it is an ML algorithm that is trained on huge amounts of data to predict, to be able to generate human-like responses. And when I say large amounts of data, large can mean the entire Wikipedia, all the publicly available research articles, GitHub, code labs, audit reports, every single piece of media available online. And guess what? Companies who have access to more data will eventually have better training. And so Google has access to all the things that you upload and see on the internet. Facebook, if you use Meta, Instagram ads, if you use Facebook to post pictures, they have your data. So what is stopping them from training on that data to predict the future? And so it's about the game of data, but it's not so simplistic. It's having good data. So large language models are trained on petabytes of data, and when it's trained for general purposes, for example, summarization, you all must have done, hey, ChatGPT, summarize this complex research paper for me in 2 words or in 2 paragraphs. That's summarization. So all of this is general purpose. But yesterday, we looked at some specific examples. For example, the CHRGPT, or for example, healthcare GPTs. They are specifically made for that industry. So we call that fine-tuning. Now, if we take a look at these applications, we are in the right-hand side. So we put the data inside, and the data could be text, images, videos, audios. If you have heard Sora, which is a latest AI model, that has launched the capability to create realistic videos. I can't imagine a day where you are actually just looking at a video and you can't tell whether it was created by an AI or by an actual videographer. And so all of that goes into the foundation model or the large language model or LLM, and then the output is something that we are all aware of. The first is question answering, for example, the ChatGPT. The other is sentiment analysis, and the possibilities are endless. Extraction, object recognition. In fact, if I had an LLM model fitted in my glass right now, I could actually tell who is sitting in what row and what is your background. That is the possibility of AI in the future. So LLMs work on the principle of language modeling. Essentially, it is prediction and probability at its best. I'm simplifying it way too much, but if you think about prediction, we're saying predict what is going to happen next. And when we apply that, when we apply that prediction model to languages, it becomes language probability. But language probability has existed ever since 1 decade, or even more than that. If we take a look at Google, how many of you use Google for search every day? All right, like the 2 people who did not raise your hand, what do you use? So if you type something in Google, for example, San, it automatically predicts the next word. So the probability could be San Francisco, San Francisco weather, San Francisco Giants, it's a game team, San Francisco State University. It is predicting based on what people have searched in the past. Take another example, iPhone. If you use iPhone today, if you type something in your messages and say, I like to, it suggests what is the next best possibility of the word. So that's called prediction. So you might ask, Pooja, why are we talking about this today, if this has existed ever since 2 decades? Well, the problem is this. How many of you have ever felt frustrated? You sent a message to a friend, and it converted the word into something that you did not want to send, and you made a typo, and you said, iPhone is stupid. The reason is iPhone is not stupid. It simply does not understand you. It does not understand the context. It is predicting the next word. So if you take a look at the left-hand side, you say, hello, how are? Now, what is the best probability for the next word? It could be, hello, how are you? You could say, hello, how are your friends? So it says, hello, how are you? Now, if I keep clicking on the predicted words that come after every selection, this is how an output might look like on the right-hand side. The first sentence makes sense, but if you read the whole paragraph, it is absolute gibberish. Let me read that out for you. Hello, how are you feeling this week? And your kind wishes for a wonderful weekend with your kindness, happiness for your family, love you, kindness. This does not make sense. So this is the problem. Prediction has been there since forever, but it does not understand the context. So what happened? 2017 changed the world. Transformers models was launched by a set of scientists at Google. What transformers means is you need to have attention to a specific word so that it can memorize the context. And when I say context, it means the area in which you are working. And what happened after 2017? Well, you know probably ChatGPT, you know Gemini, you know Bard, but those are not just the only tools. If you take a look at the screen, 2019, on the top left-hand side is when the journey started. Right after, remember, Transformers was launched in 2017, which made it possible to have the context, and so now every company started investing tons of infrastructure, tons of money in AI. So 2019, Google launches new models, followed by a new version of GPT in 2015. By the way, sorry, 2020. By the way, WebGPT wasn't made consumer version until 2022, but the research was there even 2 years before. And then, this is way too verbose slide, but you get the idea. There are so many tools. And now we have Anthropic, Claude, Notion AI, Perplexity AI, you name it, you have it. So your question is, wow, that's a lot. And fun part, it is only continuing to grow at an exponential rate. Goldman Sachs did a study earlier. It is predicted that AI industry is predicted to grow $200 billion by 2025. The image is not loading, but if it does, I'll repeat it again, $200 billion with a B. And so the good news is you don't have to know all the models. Few. What you need to know is how to interact with the models. It's almost like a relationship with your mother, father, or your husband, wife. In order to understand, you need to have a conversation. And you can't have a conversation end in a fight. You have to know the person's strengths, weaknesses. What does she like? What does he likes to eat? Where do we go for a vacation? But if you start talking to them, they don't know. They're going to be absolutely angry. And then you're going to be angry. And then you're going to sleep in the home in 2 different rooms at night. And so you need to know how these models work. And that, my friends, is why we are here today, to learn about prompt engineering. If this is still not convincing to you enough, ChatGPT, the company is OpenAI. The CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, said this: writing a really great prompt for chatbot persona is an amazingly high-level skill, an early example of programming in a little bit of natural language. So welcome to the next era of art of prompt design. Prompt, as we have talked about earlier, is anything you input into the model. How many of you have heard this phrase, garbage in, garbage out? Okay, wonderful. And so the quality of your answers are as good as your questions. I think CAs, consultants, MBAs, McKinsey, Boston and Group people get paid millions of dollars every year because they're good at asking good questions. And so today, my friends, we need to learn how to ask good questions, but also write in a way that these models understand. So let's take a step back. Remember, I told you large language models are predictive models at best. What does that mean? Let's simplify. So imagine I have a model, but I train it on all the books, libraries, magazines in this world, and I give it a question. It was the best of. What is the next outcome it can say? It was the best of times, because it has been read on books. Let's say I train the model on calendar, all the calendar, date, time, and I ask the same question. It might say it was the best of today. And let's say I take a model and I train it on all the restaurants and cuisines in India, and I ask it, it was the best of, what it might say. It was the best of biryani. So you see, just because I'm training a model on a different data set, the output is so vastly different. But wait, you use ChatGPT like it knows you. How is it supposed to know you when it has been trained not just on one data set, but the collection of all of the data sets possible in this entire world put together? And so we start complaining and get frustrated, well, the output is not right. Gemini is bad. Google should invest more money in ABC. Or ChatGPT can do a much better. Do we ever step back and ask, did you ask the right question? So that's the context for today. So when we take a look at this context, it was able to give me answer based on the data set. And when I say data, I mean context. What is the setting? And so I've simplified this formula for you, and I introduced to you, when you write a prompt, think about in these 4 broad categories. What is the persona? What is the role you want GPT to take? Can you ask a chartered accountant about thermodynamics? Well, I'm a physics grad, but I would still not know about thermodynamics, so a CA would definitely not know. But we expect ChatGPT to know us like our mother knows us. So that's wrong. You need to tell ChatGPT who you are. You are a qualified accountant at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. You are a director of engineering. You're a math major at MIT. Next, add context. Help it understand what is the setting. Add a task. What do you want the generative AI tool to do? Don't just say, create a passage for me. Tell it exactly what is the task. How would you like it to sound? And then add the format. This is one of the things I don't see anybody doing this at all. For example, we expect the answer to be in 2 pages, and then ChatGPT gives answer in 3 paragraphs, and we say, it's not enough. It's not going to cut it. The research is never going to prove. Well, did you ask the format? Did you say, give me an answer in 5 pages? And so remember the format. A brownie on the cake for you. I've given you some optional components as well. So you can also give examples. For example, if you go and watch a movie, you say, I really liked the movie. That is a good sentiment. I can say the movie was really bad. That's a bad sentiment. So this is an example. So I can tell my generative AI model, this is an example. Now next time I tell you a movie review, you tell me what the sentiment is because I have told you what a sentiment looks like. That, by the way, friends, is sentiment analysis. Don't just have the responsibility to ask everything in one prompt. You can ask follow-up questions. And we'll look at, in the later slides, when and why you should do follow-up and when you should stop a follow-up. But you can break down your questions. If something doesn't make sense, you can say, can you elaborate? Can you add more information? Now, generative AI models are not infinite. They still have limitations, and it's so important to ground these models into reality. Otherwise, what you land in, is my friends, is called hallucinations. You get answers which look perfectly fine, but they don't make any sense. And so you need to guardrail the model. How can you, as a human being, do it? Tell it. You must follow the given instructions. You must not address any content or generate answers that you don't have data or basis for. Super helpful for people who are into research. You don't want variance. But limits would not apply to somebody for creative field. For example, I want variance. I don't want it to have any limits. I want to have unicorns and rainbows and land an astronaut on Pluto. So don't have any limits. Go wild. So it's important to understand limits play an important role. Now, everybody sounds different. I probably sound very different and as compared to other speakers. So how can ChatGPT sound similar for everybody? So give it your own flavor, tone, and style. The blog must be written to an 8th grade reading level. Strictly avoid filler words, slang, and redundant language. Now, good news, big companies who are actually investing into AI for humanity, they have hard-coded in their models to be professional, to not look at any controversial issues, for example, politics. So if you ask a model, for example, Gemini, about politics or elections, about Modi or Trump, and it doesn't give you the right answer, know that it's not the model's fault. The company from the back end probably has put guardrails so that it doesn't give you any information that is controversial. So we took a look at some of the tasks in this slide. Now, I see some of you, actually a lot of people I see saying, create an essay for me, create an audit report for me, create a financial statement for me. Remember, large language models work with human-generated inputs, so it's so important to go back to your high school English and think about the verbs you learned. So introducing to you English. You might have learned in seventh grade, but it's so important to refresh your memory now. There are so many ways of saying create, but just don't say create anymore. Shall we? Exercise for today, use generative AI, avoid the urge to say create when there are plethora of other verbs. And I have highlighted, put together major categories, and then the other smaller bubbles up and down are further diversification and branches of the categories. But then you can say converse, summarize, condense it to me. If you have any bigger piece of information and you just want to glean the top insights, you can say extract. By the way, extraction is a way of machine learning algorithms. I will not go into the technicalities today, so I have kept it so simple that you can start using all these principles right after the session. Rephrase, isolate, identify, condense. All right, some actual hands-on examples. So remember I said 4 components, persona, context, task, and format. So I'm going to give you a persona, OK? There's an audit firm, and I won't name audit firm. It's a good audit firm, and you are supposed to have an audit of another company. So you want to write an audit report. So first off, we discussed persona. What would be a persona for writing an audit report? And persona is a role that the model can take. Yes, somebody said something. Auditor, yes. So how would you say that to a model? You are an auditor, but that's perfect, but can we add more information? You are CA of India, yes. Very important, by the way. Auditor of India is different than auditor of Australia, is different than auditor of US, is different than auditor of Europe. Every country has different guidelines, and we don't specify that, and the output, when it comes out, we don't like, and then there goes ChatGPT and Gemini, and we blame the whole world. Great point. Anything else? Sorry? OK. So let's take a look at some examples. Persona, you're an experienced financial auditor from a top audit firm in India. So we did talk about India. Next up, context. Context. Corporation ABC is preparing for its annual audit. It operates in the technology sector. Notice how I've given technology sector. A lot of people forget that. A company in healthcare has such different needs and technology. In retail, in MSMEs, we don't provide enough context. We just assume language model to know that you are in Hyderabad. It doesn't know that. So that's our job to tell it. With a focus on software development and cloud services. Now, look at the last three lines. The audit needs to cover the fiscal year 2023. How many times do we forget to write the year? We just say, so, hey, ChatGPT, tell me the last time the elections happened in India. Well, last time compared to what? Compared to 2024 or 2010 or 1990s? And so ChatGPT, remember, knows everything. It doesn't know you. So tell it, what do you need? All right, so moving on. Let's add a task. Now, I have added few examples, but you don't have to put everything in a prompt. Just pick few that speak more to you. If you're doing revenue recognition, assess whether the company's revenue recognition practices comply with IFRS and identify the discrepancies. Expense management, evaluate. Notice how I highlighted the task and the verbs. So assess, evaluate, review, check for compliance. Recommendations. You can ask generative models to provide recommendations. And lastly, but not the least, conclusion. Summarize the overall findings. So far, so good? All right. Back after a lunch break. Okay? All right, format. So remember, we need to format it. So in this case, I've said structure the report with appropriate headers such as introduction. This is optional. You don't have to say. But because I, as an auditor, my company has very strict guidelines, I need to have opinion, basis of opinion, methodologies. So if I don't provide that, ChatGPT is going to give me some output. And then what are you going to do? You're going to copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste into Word or Doc or Excel or Sheets, whatever you do. And that takes time. That at least take 2 hours every week. If you only gave your generative model, GPT, Gemini, that just give me the output in this format, you would save 2 hours just by doing that. So that's a hack number 1. Ask it to what you want the output to be as. The last point, how many of us have read big audit reports and some pages were totally unnecessary? Standards say a good audit report can be between 4 to 5 pages. And so tell that to your generative model. Easy. OK, tone. Keep it formal and professional. I have kept the tone very simple, but if you have any specific needs, you can change and add flavor to it, etc. All right. So now, if I put all of this together, this is how the prompt would look like. Extremely long. You might just say, me, Pooja, like, if I have to write this prompt, I might as well write the audit report myself. That's fair. And so this brings me to the next point, topic, tokens. How many of you have heard Company X released their new model and their token window or their context window has increased to 1 million input tokens now? So that's where the tokens come into the picture. What are tokens? So again, going back to school days, remember we did computer classes and teacher used to say, computers talk to us in binary language, zeros and ones. They don't understand this English. So why should LLMs? They don't understand English. They're algorithms. So they break down English sentences into smaller words, and they're called as tokens. Now, token is the basic unit of information that LLMs understand. Now, a token could be a word, a collection of words, or one character. For example, how many of you type prompts and put a space at the end of a prompt? Create a financial report for mergers and acquisitions for the year 2024. Instead of putting question mark, you put a space. Because we're lazy and we don't look at the keyboard. We just want ChatGPT to do all the work. And you put a space instead of question mark. So remember, my friends, space is a token, and LLM understands tokens. So it's going to interpret the space as a declaration, not a question. And then you're not going to like the output. So that's a punctuation. ChatGPT has a tool called OpenAI, called Tokenizer. It is a great way to understand what is the number of tokens in your input. For example, I need to stop at the supermarket. I, 1 token, need, 2nd token, to stop at the supermarket. There are 8 tokens, 34 characters. Pretty small. It's simple to understand. Sometimes it gets complex. If you put apostrophe or if you put commas, it counts as tokens. So your token sizes increases. Why is this so important? We are talking about prompt effectiveness after all, so there has to be some connection. Well, memory of chat. If your conversation with a model keeps getting longer, remember your token input has a limit. And we'll look at the limits in the next slide. Every time you interact with ChatGPT and you don't clear the history or the chat becomes long, it is going to not give you great output because there are limits. So Gemini, 2 years ago, had 32,000 limit on the token size, also called as context window. GPT-4 Turbo, launched earlier this year, 128K. Claude by Anthropic, 200K. Gemini 1.5 Pro, launched by Google earlier this year, increased it to 1 million token size. And just last month, made an announcement that we're launching 2 million input context window. What does that mean? Put 8 books of Harry Potter. That's a lot of pages. And so now that's getting interesting. A lot of data can be put. So when you interact with your chatbot, if something is not relevant, clear the history. You don't want the whole conversation to be sent back into the prompt. And by the way, this is a good time for me to tell you, when you interact with ChatGPT, anytime you ask the question, it gives you an answer, and then you ask a question, the question doesn't go back to the model. The whole history gets wrapped, and that gets sent back to the model. It's important because it needs to remember the context, but it's also important to understand the conversation. But that gets longer, you hit your limits, and then you get frustrated. After today's session, we are all better human beings. Let's not do that. Also, every interaction you do with ChatGPT is expensive. Imagine there's an infrastructure, big data house, somewhere in Oklahoma, US, running on extremely high energy. Every query you make costs $1 gazillion. So also, consider the impact on environment. I know I will wrap up really quick, but I want to leave you with some other techniques. So we looked at examples. When you teach a model by example, in data science, we call this example-based learning or few-shot learning. Then there is chain of thought prompting. Why this is helpful, especially for finance people. I'll just quickly move the slides. If you ask it to give you a budget and you give it a math problem, for example, your finance department has $23,000, you allocate $20,000 for marketing, $6,000 for saving, how much is left in the budget? You might want to open up your calculator, or you might ask a generative model. Some generative model, some time back, gave me this output, $27,000. By a quick calculation, you can tell this is wrong. I know this is wrong because I checked. The way to fix it is don't get a model to just blurt out an answer. Ask it to explain, how did you get there? And so that's called chain of thought, chain of reasoning. And so the similar kind of a question when I asked, and in the end, if you notice in the highlighted bold sentences, I say, let's think step by step. You can also say, give me logical reasoning. You can also say, explain your thought process. Now, notice the output is not just one word. The output is the reasoning, and this time, it got it right. So chain of thought prompting. I wanted to do some exercise with you, but I'll skip it, so I'll just quickly go over with you. If you want to create an investment opportunity in AI, this might look like as a fair task. But what is it missing? So we discussed persona. You can say, you're the director of strategy and finance at a top accounting firm in India. What else can we make this prompt better? So we learned task format. So let's add a task or a context. So the context is, the document is important. I just don't want to create an investment opportunity. It's going to cost probably hundreds of crores. So this is important. So tell this to the model. This is important. And notice I'm highlighting this is vital to my team. You can say this is vital to my budget. You can say this is vital to my sales team. Bring the emotion aspect to it. And now, remember, GPTs, they don't have limits. So you, as a human prompter, put a limit, and then you specify a follow-up question. Sometimes, models work with the principle of self-reflection or self-check. If you don't want to be able to fact-check everything, at the end of your prompt, you can say, are you sure? Or you can say, can you check? And so it's going to give you an output that is fact-checked. So great way to start using these inputs in your prompt today. All right, few examples of writing an image. I just took all these examples and put it in an image format. And this is an image. Another example, sketch of an airplane door. Notice how I have highlighted orange and gold. I bet you don't specify colors in your prompts. If you next time are creating an image using ChatGPT or Gemini or Midjourney, by the way, is a great tool, put colors. And this is the output I got. Okay, all right, the output is not loading. Perfect. Oh, here. So this is the output, orange and gold colors. I like it. Okay, I think I'm short on time, but if you want to take pictures, these are some takeaways. Be short, be concise. Don't make say what you wanted to do, imagery. Something I wanted to, I'll just quickly take 2 minutes, is mistakes to avoid. Extremely important topic. Don't make vague, broad prompts. For example, a lot of us do, explain audit to me. What? So explain technology. That doesn't make sense. Tell it, explain how blockchain works. Explain how AI technology works. Now, next, assuming AI understanding of ambiguous terms. Tell me about them. Sometimes you interact and you say, tell me more about it. What is it? AI doesn't know it. Tell it. Tell me about the benefits of solar panels. Don't just leave it at it, them. Make it specific. And I've put the rationale so you know I'm just not making it up. There is science behind it. And then ignoring the model's limitation, example, and I bet some of you do that, predict stock market for next year. Well, firstly, I would be very happy if AI can do that. This has not been possible in the last 200 years. But unfortunately, this is the wrong prompt. And I'm sure you have answers why, because we have learned it. What is next year? 2020, 30, 2050, 30, 50? So improved prompt would be, what are the common factors affecting stock market? Next terminology. Provide medical advice on my symptoms. Firstly, 10 years ago, Google became a doctor. If you have stomach ache, probably people say there's cancer. So let's not extrapolate. ChatGPT is not a doctor, so don't use it for medical advice. And the next thing is neglecting to review, verify information. Everything that comes out of generative AI models should be reviewed. All right, so that's the end of the session. Hopefully that was helpful. If you would like to connect, I can leave my information again. So I would be happy to take questions and connect with you on LinkedIn afterwards if you have any questions. Thank you.
Can we once again have a great round of applause for both our speakers for sharing with us their meticulous research. And now I would be inviting on stage CA Bhagwan Das Mundada, who's the chairman of the Warangal branch of ICAI, to kindly present the memento to both our speakers.
Thank you. Hello, sir.
Sir, I request you
Yes,
to
sir.
kindly present it to our first speaker, Ms.
Thank you,
Anita
sir.
Sivasubramanian.
Thank you.
Once again, a great round of applause, please. And now I request him to present it to Ms. Pooja Jain. I would once again thank both our speakers.